There really isn't anything to fault. It's something that's a great gift for someone that you love, or maybe a gift for yourself. A big hello to you, so great to see you, and I hope you are well. I'm Jenny Kirk, welcome you up here to the loft on Weir Yard. Today we're taking a look at an all-new film tie-in set that's been very long awaited from Rapido Trains. That's it, of course, the Titfield Thunderbolt, an inspiring set from the film indeed, and certainly this is one that we've been waiting for with some eager anticipation. The Lion locomotive was released a little while ago, and we were lucky enough to review that in full on the channel. And with both the towed brake van and the Loriot Y also breaking cover in main range versions, you might be thinking, just what do you get in this film tie-in pack other than a little bit of a difference in the livery? But actually, there's quite a lot. Yes, we've got that livery change, but there's a whole lot more as well. And in this deluxe version, we get 3D printed figures courtesy of Model U, and they're in full colour. I mean, this is something that I've not seen before, and certainly it just shows how much this technology is marching on in leaps and strides. But we've also got Dan's house on that Loriot Y. And Rapido have been teasing us with a few little snippets of what the details inside this are going to be. And now it's finally arrived, we can take a good close look and see if this is everything that was promised and more. The deluxe version also features a very well researched book on the history of the film and what went into making it happen. And it's really, really nice. It's like a coffee table type book, which is really well researched, which goes into the full background of the film with some really high definition photographs, including a lot of rare behind the scenes photographs as well, and it's well worth a read. Certainly I got sidetracked when I first opened this box and found myself reading that from cover to cover. And the final thing that you get with this set is that deluxe sound file, and this is nothing like the one that we saw with the regular Lion release. This does include the same functions that you would expect from a working steam locomotive of this type, but there's a whole load of sound bites from the film as well.
Average speed 24.25 miles per hour.
And this allows you to really immerse yourself into the whole film experience. So come with me in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double-O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest loco.
Please do consider liking this video and sharing it as well to social media. It's a great way to help support the channel. And if you haven't already done so, do please consider subscribing and ringing that bell to be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. And a big thank you to Rapido Trains for sending over this review sample for us to be able to take a good close look. And if you want to help support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see, you can also check us out over on Patreon, or we've got channel membership available with a whole host of great different perks, and there's also the merchandise store just down below under the video. But let's get on. I'm really excited by this all new set from Rapido Trains. It's been a long time coming, and certainly it's never been far from the model railway press, and certainly there's been lots of images shared of the progress on this, and it's great to see it finally arrive. So does it make the grade? Well, come with me and let's take a good close look. Titfield Thunderbolts are a little bit like buses. You go for a long, long time with people saying, wouldn't it be an absolutely splendid idea to have a model of Lion in her Ealing comedy guise? And then two got announced at once. But as it turns out, only one was officially sanctioned, so this is the one which has now finally appeared, and on the box here we've got the officially licensed from Studio Canal, who are the license holders for that Ealing comedy. And this is the deluxe version, as you can see here, deluxe train pack, and this is really quite a superb set of packaging that has come through from Rapido Trains. Now there is also a regular version which comes with just the locomotive, the coach on the flat roll and the brake van as well. But this particular version features sound, and if you're wondering about that, say, well, we've already heard that with the Lion locomotive that you reviewed. Well, this is where things get very different, because the sound decoder that's in this has a sound file on it like nothing that you've ever heard before, and certainly it's something that you will not be able to get your own version of, and we will go through those sounds as we go through this video review. But the box itself, really high quality presentation piece, and I love this artwork that is just so reminiscent of what you would have seen in the 1950s with the scenes from the film done in this really quite lovely simple animation style, almost like a Walt Disney cartoon style. I love it, absolutely love it. I'm just going to find you the catalogue number on the box. So this is catalogue number 922001, the Deluxe Pack Sound Fitted. And if you're wondering what you get in the Deluxe Pack, which you don't in the regular, well, here is your opportunity to take a look with me. So slide the top off, and the first thing that greets us is this booklet, and this is actually a pretty heavy duty, in fact it's not a booklet, it is a book. You can see there proper book binding on this, and this is an incredibly well researched book which shows you all about the filming of the actual film, with a lot of behind the scenes information and some really high quality photographs as well. So some of the iconic scenes that you'll have seen from that Ealing comedy, and actually these are definitely taken from a very cleaned up print, and it's lovely to see how nicely it's been restored. And this gives some backstory to the film, and then going on to some details about the actual filming as well. And we've got these wonderful behind the scenes pictures as well of just how they did it. And going further into this, we've also got information about the locations, and this I found really interesting about the Hydrodian Theatre, a little bit of a joke by the film crew, of course, at the time. The Odeon cinema chain was quite a big cinema chain in the UK. People didn't have TVs in any great number. If you wanted to watch a film, you went to the cinema to see it. It was a big deal, and a lot of towns and cities had many cinemas. I mean, it's hard to understand now just how popular the cinema was. And I remember reading, actually, in Bolton, my hometown, at one point there were around 30 individual cinemas in the town, and that's a far cry from what is now down to just a single cinema, albeit a multiplex. We've also then got information about the actors who were in it and some of the crew, and it's really interesting information. This is far more detailed than you would get anywhere else online, and it's been very well researched as a labour of love by Andrew Hardy at Rapido Trains, and it just shows the passion and enthusiasm that has gone into this project. And it's been several years in coming, but it's lovely to now finally see it appear. And what's interesting is that when I was working at Ealing Studios, I actually got a photograph of, they have some nice boards which show some of the films that have been filmed there, and I actually got a photograph of the particular board that lists the Titfield Thunderbolt, and it's really interesting to actually work at the studios where such classics like this were made, and to actually go on the sound stages. Now, if you're wondering about photographs, it's very difficult to get photographs at a film studio. They, for obvious reasons, don't like you taking photographs. So I was able to take a photograph of the commemorative boards because they were in an area where it's not actually on the sound stages, but certainly it was this lovely link to the past from the present. We also get this owner's manual again throughout, this lovely iconography, really, really nice. And this is reminiscent of, you remember the booklet that we got with the Lion model, and this gives you something a little bit extra as well. You can see there we do have some of the photographs from the films, just to make this a little bit different. And then we've also got some information about fitting a DCC decoder. Now, we don't need to do that with this model. If you want to know about DCC fitting, then do take a look at the Lion review that we did. But we've got here the DCC functions list, and you can see that we've got samples from the film, which is something very, very different, and I'm really actually looking forward to trying those out, and we will be doing that. And we've also got some information on getting into Dan's house, which we will do in a bit. We've also got this lovely, this is actually a really high-grade card, certificate of authenticity. Again, really lovely touch with all of this. This has definitely been a labour of love. And now let's just get the models themselves out, and then we will take a look. But before I actually delve in, I should also show you this. Easy to miss, hidden away. We've got the little red discs, which I am told actually are to glue over the screws on the side rods if their appearance bothers you. And these were actually present in the Lion. I wasn't sure at the time what they were. And then we've got the two different mouldings of the chimney that goes on the top of Dan's house, aka the coach. And if I retrieve the picture here, you can just see that there on the top. And the reason they give you two is because in the film they make a kind of comedy thing about pulling it down to go under bridges, but obviously unless you have no bridges whatsoever on your layout, you need the moulding with it in the down position, so they do actually give you both. Each of the items comes in the kind of clamshell that you would normally expect to see in an ordinary box, and when getting the locomotive itself out, it's just as we saw with the Lion. These come separated, but they do have quite a nice coupling mechanism between them, which is fairly simple to be able to put together. Now, in the deluxe one as well, what I should make clear to you is that these again are another exclusive for the deluxe model. These come from Model U and are 3D printed in colour, which is something which I'm always amazed by, the 3D printing technology. And you can see there we get the three characters. So we've got the guard, the driver and the fireman as played by the characters in the film. 3D printed in colour, that is really quite nice and sharp, and I do love those. Then we can very carefully remove the flat roll and show you all of this. So first of all, let's take a look at the locomotive, and I'm just going to fish around up here, and I do have the Lion. So what's going to be interesting is to compare the two. They are pretty much the same, well, they are the same locomotive. Putting them together is simply a case of lining up the pins, and then it will just clip together. Now, the locomotive was painted in what was actually quite a garish looking colour scheme, but there was a method in the madness with this. And actually they weren't supposed to, so I've read, actually paint the locomotive up like this. But, you know, back in the days before smartphone cameras and the internet, they'd already painted it before anybody official knew, so it was kind of a fait accompli, and it was repainted obviously afterwards, back as it should have been, but you can see that the difference between the Lion model as released and the Titfield Thunderbolt model, we've got this really vibrant colour scheme, and the reason they wanted to do that was because it was the first Technicolor film that the Ealing Studios had done. And the thing about Technicolor is, you know, you've seen The Wizard of Oz and films like that, it's like, ta-da! It's really quite a revelation when you see them, and it's got that lovely style, and of course these vibrant colours really show it off to its best. So that was exactly the reason that they went for this paint scheme on the locomotive, and you can see there we've got Thunderbolt on the name, and that name piece, actually, just looking at Lion, is much longer to incorporate the longer name, and we've got a lot more in the way of finish. And what's interesting as well, we do have extra detail parts. You can see that strip along there is not on the Lion model, and it's like little bits like that, little details, which actually do mark this apart. This is not just a re-livery of that Lion model, there is a lot more going on. Now you can see those screws on the end of the axles, these are a necessity of construction, and that's where those red discs come in. You can just glue them on top. I'd recommend something like PVA, so that then if you need to, you can actually remove them. And I mean, look at how vibrant this is. We've got all of that detail on the locomotive. I love these drain cocks as well. They're just everything about this. And the weight as well. I can't begin to just make clear just how heavy this model is, which does aid its traction. And of course, a model this small, which to be honest, is not that much. Well, the locomotive itself is smaller than the towed brake van, and with the tender, it is actually still shorter than the Loriot Y as well. Everything else about this model is just as we saw with the Lion, but we do have also this really quite exquisite printing on the chimney, and that, when you look at that, that's printed onto the curve. That really is an amazing eye-catching display of colour that has been very crisply and very neatly reproduced by Rapido on there. Everything about this is a lot of die cast in there. The wooden cladding does, it's got a really great texture to it, and I think that is die cast metal. I'm just running my finger over it and it feels like that kind of twang of metal under my fingernail. And I love these splashes as well, separately applied. Everything about this is a no holds barred rendition of the model. So just trying to get that to focus. Can't quite see what that plate says. It'll be really quite interesting to have a look at that under magnification and to see just what it comes up as. The coupling on the back of the locomotive is a slimline tension lock going back into this triangular mount, so that means that if you want to exchange that for a different type of coupling, then that is actually quite straightforward with these, and you could even have it pull your HAA hoppers or Mark III coaches with this locomotive if that's what floats your boat. Now I'm going to look at the brake van as well. We did do a review on this. Rapido did send over one of the main range versions. Now if you're looking at this and going, well, what's so special about this? Well, this is the identity of the brake van that appears in the film, so that you can make up that fully authentic train. As you saw in our review of these models, they really are quite exquisite with the detail, and their real USP is that roof that's held on by 4 magnets. And look, even the roof interior is all planked and painted. and then inside it is totally exquisite. And of course, if you then want to add in one of those figures in the deluxe model, then you can either permanently affix these with something like super glue, or Deluxe Materials Tacky Wax is really great if you want to put them in and have them not flop around, but don't want to actually damage the model or the figures. And certainly that is probably the route that I would be going with these. I love the interior, as we talked about with the previous release for this, the main range release. There is so much detail in here, and it almost seems an absolute shame that you can't just run the wagon like this. You know, this is exquisite. It's of a level that you would normally expect to see with some lovingly handcrafted model that somebody has painstakingly built, maybe in 5-inch or 7¼ gauge. But to see this on a 00 gauge model really is absolutely amazing. Now, it does bring with it some little limitations. There is a little bit of a gap that does open up between the roof and the body, and actually, I'll be honest, Rapido do point this out in the manual and say if it really does bother you, you can glue the roof on. But, you know, who is gluing these roofs on? To be honest with you, that stays put quite nicely, and you are a heathen if you want to glue your roof on, given the detail that is inside one of these. It would be sacrilege to actually just cover that up forever and a day. Now, for me, one of the standout features of this, as I've been following the actual development of this range, is this. Now, we've got the Loriot Y. Again, we did review this on the channel. Quite an interesting and quite a rare wagon. There were only ever 2 of them. One of them does manage to survive to preservation, but the reason I believe it was picked was because it had these flat platforms at either end, and the film crew saw these as being absolutely perfect for putting cameras and lights onto. So for the process of filming the film, that really did make things a lot easier. The coach body itself in the film was just a plywood prop. It was sort of loosely based on what would have been the 19th century style carriages, and a lot of these were sold out of service for use, amongst other things, as accommodation. People bought them, put them somewhere on a piece of land and used them as their house. So it was not really a complete fantasy that Dan could have been actually living in one of these, and I guess that one of the main sale avenues for the railway companies was to railwaymen and former railwaymen who saw them as a really useful way of getting accommodation. Now, as I said before, the prop in the film was just a prop. It wasn't actually made from a real coach at all. But this is somewhere that really has impressed me during the build. And I'm just using my fingernails to slide the sides of this apart. It does recommend using a plastic tool that you can buy actually for dismantling mobile phones. But because I'm a girl, I've got longer fingernails, and I'm just going to ease this out. Now, don't use anything metal because you will damage the finish. And for me, this is absolutely exquisite. It's a fully detailed interior. I mean, look at that. Even the crockery on the Welsh dresser, everything that you see here, the sofa, even the rug. We've got that correct pattern on the rug, and it's just incredible. The feature there, we've got the potted plant. You know, limitations of manufacturing that is solid, but look at that. Everything is individually printed and finished, and I just love it. Absolutely love this attention to detail. Now you see why this is a deluxe rendition. Now the actual base itself appears to be, I can't see any screws, so I think it is glued to the wagon out of necessity. But quite honestly, I don't see any need to remove this. This is absolutely exquisite, and you can add in your own figures if you want. But that is going above and beyond. We've got the glazing in there as well. The rendition of the curtains and everything about this is accurate for the actual film, and it just clips back on really quite readily there. So all in all, this is amazing. Now I'm just going to show you the extra parts here. I don't normally go in for fitting extra parts, but you really need to choose one of these, and we can either have the lowered or the upright position. As this is going to run on wear yard, which does have overbridges, I am going to just plug this into there, and I'll show you that roof finish. Actually, I do like the finish on that. It's not a single colour, it actually looks like kind of roofing felt, but we've got this hole and we can just push fit this in place. Now it does recommend using a little dab of glue, either PVA or, if you're really careful, super glue, but in all honesty that goes in there and stays in there quite well, just interference fit. So I'm going to be leaving that in. In fact, I've got this awful feeling I've put the lid on the wrong way round. I should have paid attention on that, but it's really quite easy if we need to swap that around. So this is a wonderful package, and I would say as well, we've got slimline tension locks on all of the items in this set, which does mean that you can actually pull these with anything you like. If you've got one of the Hatton's 14XX auto tanks, you can also make use of that, and we've got some forthcoming items coming from Rapido as well. The Bedford OB bus, and also the ex-Great Eastern Railway Wisbech and Upwell style coach as well is being released in the range. So there's plenty of opportunities to mix and match and to put together a really great set of miniature models from the film. And I do wonder how many people will start to build entirely Titfield Thunderbolt themed model railways. Certainly if you see Rapido trains out on the exhibition circuit, they've got one, but how long before we see more? When it comes to DCC fitting, it's quite simple. Now I'm going to just detach this from the locomotive just to make it a little bit easier. You just grasp the tender top, squeeze ever so slightly, and it unclips. That's all it is, just unclips. We've got a metal weight in there, and then inside the tender top you can see the circuit board, and we've got the blanking plug there, and the next 18 socket. As Rapido have sent over that sound decoder for us to experience the sound, I'm going to fit it with this. If you are not going down the sound route, you just want regular DCC, then we do have a link down below to Tramfabrique, who are the UK stockists for Trainomatic, and they do sell the appropriate next 18 decoder to be able to fit, and you fit it exactly the same way that I fitted this sound decoder in. To refit, just line up one side of those clips and then gently squeeze in the other, and you should get clunk, click every trip. It's just a little bit trickier to get the other side in there. Let's just try it the other way round. Now it comes off a lot easier than it goes on, is something that I will say. Maybe just push it over just a little bit. That is quite tricky actually, and unfortunately there's like a ridge either side, and that appears to be the issue there. That's such a shame, because this was really easy access, and there we go. You can feel that click, but it just takes a little bit more work. And we've got our locomotive DCC fitted. So I'm going to try recording the sounds from this model just a little bit differently from how we've done in the past, as people have queried about the fidelity of the microphone that we were using. So instead, as you can see on screen, we've got the high quality Behringer microphone that I use for live streaming, and got that all plugged in and recording on the computer. And we're going to just run through the different sounds on this model. So first up, let's get her up and simmering. As you can hear, there's some really great sounds in there that play some of the spot sounds as it goes. But that's not the main party trick of this model. And instead, I'm going to run through some of the other functions that we've got on here. And these run from F3 onwards. So let's play them all in turn.
Oh, Sam, what a little beauty, you lucky devil. What an experience. She won't couple, huh? This type of coupling didn't come in until 30 years later. 33, to be precise. 1875? Yes, you're quite right on. If I may observe the departure, you may take the train out.
F6.
This is it, Dolly. Oh, Sam. One's first sermon all over again.
F7.
We want the Titfield Thunderbolt.
F8.
6.5 minutes late already. Little desperado, Molly.
F9.
Oh, Sam. Chin up, Molly. Another 50 yards and it's downhill as far as the water green.
F10.
There, we're over the top. Notice the difference? Now we'll show him. Sam!
F11.
She won't. Then put her in reverse. Sam!
F12.
Average speed, 24.25 miles per hour. If I may hazard a comment, I think you were particularly fortunate. All other requirements having been satisfactory, it would have been a pity if your timing had let you down. Fortunate? Had you reached an average speed of 25 miles an hour, it would have exceeded the limits imposed on the light railway, which is very near thing. Be more careful next time.
F13.
Oh, Sam, what a little beauty, you lucky devil. What an experience. What an experience. You've seen her before, in the museum, but to stand on her. I did once mount the North Star. You know, which is 222 with a double crank gliding axle. But this, oh,
And F14.
oh, a dew. How very delightful.
F15. And this is where we get back into the more normal sounds.
Inspired by? My dear fellow, whatever do you mean?
And that concludes all of the different sound files run through in unison on the model. And as you can see, that's really, really different from what you might expect. And in many ways, it shows up just exactly what a DCC sound decoder is capable of doing. If you have the right sound files, you can literally make your locomotive talk at you. When it comes to running, the locomotive performed really, really well. I had it running over some gradients on the torture test track area, and it actually handled these better than the Lion locomotive that we reviewed some months ago. And I can only assume that the Lion that we had maybe wasn't quite as sure-footed as this, because it doesn't look to be that any changes have been made, but certainly the pulling power did feel a little bit improved. On the main layout, it took in all of the double slips and scissor crossings and such like with remarkable ease, and it was an absolute joy to get it running around the full weir yard circuit. Just as we saw in the reviews for the Loriot Y and for the towed brake van, these two performed pretty well, although there was a little bit of rocking evident on the Loriot Y over some of the pointwork frogs, but it wasn't excessive. All in all, the performance is an absolute joy, and the more that they ran, the more enjoyment I was getting from these. As you can see on your screens, I've added those 3D printed in colour figures, and they really add a bit of magic to these, particularly the locomotive crew. And maybe this is something that Rapido might like to offer as a deluxe version on many more of their locomotives. Maybe having the driver and fireman there in the box as an option is certainly something which I think a lot of people would greatly appreciate, and the fidelity of these figures from Model U really is superb. All in all, performance was really good, and there's a rather scale top speed to this. It doesn't go excessively fast, and there was no feeling that it needed a stay alive at all. With the all-wheel pickup across the locomotive and tender, it really didn't have any issues whatsoever, and even over Insel Frog points, I didn't hear any spluttering of the sound at all. So we come now to the scores. First up is build quality, and this really was pretty well put together. I like the thoughtful use of materials too, to get the most out of this miniature masterpiece. We got plenty of die cast, and that does give a good adhesive weight, even though this is a quite diminutive model. Looking to the wagons as well, it's a really innovative way of adding the roof onto that brake van with the magnets that does give us that full detailed interior. And when it comes to Dan's house on top of the Loriot Y, well, these are both of excellent construction and some really quite thoughtful ways of producing that detailed interior too. So all in all, I'm going to give this a 9.8, with the only area which really I could fault was that some of the external handrails on the towed brake van did seem to be a little bit prone to getting caught and pulled out of their lugs, although they did go back in quite readily. On running quality, the locomotive did perform really well. There's no need for a stay alive, which really does show that we've got some great pickups across all of the wheels, and these do come from the factory properly adjusted, so it really is a joy to watch, even down to some quite slow speeds. When it came to running on the layout, it felt like it had a little bit more pulling power than the Lion locomotive that we reviewed a little while ago. And I'm going to put this down to maybe just a quirk between different models from different production runs, because I can't see any difference in the construction to account for this. The rest of the train runs equally pretty well, taking in all of the point work on weir yard without any great issues, although there did seem to be just a little bit of a wobble off the Loriot Y when it went over the point frogs on my standard Code 100 Pico points, and I'm going to give this a 9.8. On DCC Fitting and Innovation, well, DCC Fitting is fairly easy, as you may have seen when we reviewed the Lion model. This deluxe pack comes ready fitted with the sound decoder, and then it's actually quite straightforward to get into the top of the tender to be able to DCC fit yourself if you go for the standard version. Where the innovation really comes in is that brake van with that removable roof, giving us a really quite detailed interior. This is quite incredible and certainly something that I've never seen before. The same can be said about Dan's house. That really is superb internal detail, and again something that I have never really seen to this level, although the Rapido dynamometer car certainly came close. On the locomotive we don't get any firebox flicker or lighting, but what we do get is a sure-footed model that runs and runs well. They've put a lot of effort into the areas of its construction that really matter, namely the pickups from the wheels and its grip, and that really does show. I also love the sound suite that's available on this deluxe pack. Using sound samples and catchphrases from the film, it really is a great touch and just highlights just what you can do with DCC sound. All in all, I'm going to give this a 9.4. When it comes to accuracy and quality of finish, there really isn't anything that I can fault with this model. The attention to detail is just incredible, with so many firsts in terms of detailed brake van interior, detailed coach interior, and it is just incredible how much that has gone into this. Even the book that comes in the deluxe packet is really, really well researched, well written and well presented, giving such a glorious in-depth view of the making of this film. It is superb and worth every penny. Model U too have gone above and beyond with these 3D printed in colour figures, which really do make it quite easy for the end user to get that little bit of something extra out of this model. There really isn't anything to fault, so it gets the full 10 out of 10, and deservedly so. On value for money, well, let's talk about prices. The regular set comes in at £300 RRP, although I can find it discounted down to £254.95, and we do have a link in the description to help you out on that. The deluxe pack does give you a lot more. Yes, we've got that sound installation, but then there's also those 3D printed colour figures, that book, everything that comes in that glorious package. And that only costs an extra £100 on the RRP. I've been able to find this at £339.95. And again, we've got a link down below to help you find this. There are still some available if maybe you want to jump in on this fabulous film tie-in set. Or maybe you ordered the regular version and now really want to upgrade to that deluxe special edition. It's still able to be done, but they're sure to sell out quite quickly. All in all, there really isn't anything to fault. It's a great price for a great package, and certainly this deluxe version will leave you thinking that you have definitely got a great value for money. There's so much play value with those different sound samples that will keep you enthralled for hour after hour running this. Plus it will look amazing in a display cabinet, and that whole presentation is something that's a great gift for someone that you love, or maybe a gift for yourself. And that gives us a final score of 49 out of 50, a very deserved score for a great set. Well, I hope you really enjoyed that video and found it informative as well. And if, like me, you really cracked up at that hidden sound function up there on F20.
Inspired by? My dear fellow, whatever do you mean?
I had to play that several times, actually. Just think, what is this? And then I realised what it was. So I think that just shows that Rapido is a company with a great sense of humour. But I'd love to know what you guys thought about this model. Is this maybe something that you've had on order? Or maybe it's something that you're thinking, I want to upgrade to the deluxe set now. And certainly looking around, there's quite a few retailers that do still have the deluxe set available to order, but do hurry because they're sure to sell out quickly. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section as well if there's anything that you spotted in this review that you think that I may have missed. And it's always great to hear from you guys and share your experiences and observations with your fellow enthusiast and modeler. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying please consider liking, sharing and subscribing. Check out our full merch store as well for all of the t-shirts, hoodies and mugs that you know and love, like Billy's replacement speakers, Terrier Fest, Gronk It Up, always really, really popular, Gronk it up, gronk it up, gronk it up. But, of course, for legal and tax purposes, it's not a cult. And until next time, you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest loco.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.